Well guys, we've got some big news. We have just purchased this 12-valve Cummins off Facebook Marketplace for $600. They said it has a bad injection pump. We'll see if that's actually true, but it already came teared down, so we're just going to inspect all the parts and see what we got for $600 again on Facebook Marketplace. Now, normally these are gonna go for like the $3,000 to $5,000 range, so I was a little skeptical at first because I didn't know if it had, a bad crank, a bad bearing, a bad block, a bad cylinder. But upon inspecting it, everything looks pretty good. We still have our cross-hatching in the cylinder walls, just like we did with that one that had 450,000 miles on it that we swapped into the white Land Cruiser. This is a 91 non-intercooled version, so we're going to be doing some modifications to it if we want to swap it into the Land Cruiser. Now, the question is, which Land Cruiser should we swap it into? Should we go into the 62 series or should we go into the 80 series again, since the red one we have is super clean and it's triple locked and we already have a rooftop tent on it. But I do like the kind of ratty look of the 62 and I think it would complement it well. Unfortunately, I don't see too many swaps done on it. I've seen a lot of I Hate Mud posts about getting like halfway there and then selling what they have done for the swap. So I'm a little skeptical to do that because I know there's going to be a lot of fabrication necessary and I don't really have a great shop to do it in. This is kind of just a little shed that I've been fortunate enough to use for a temporary amount of time. So without further ado, let's check out this engine and see what it looks like. All right guys, here it is. This is a 1991 12-valve Cummins out of a W250 or D250 Dodge. And it has the VE pump, which is a little bit different. You can kind of see on the back end here, these are the, they go to the cylinder or the injectors. So there's a rotary style, I don't know what you'd call it, assembly inside, but I was told that this injection pump is bad. Now, I was already planning on rebuilding whatever injection pump I got from this engine or whatever engine I bought for this swap. And that can be viewed as kind of a plus. Again, we got this for $600, so we're already starting out a little bit ahead. But yeah, that'll probably have to be dug into. I've read that you can do an aftermarket fuel pin to get more fuel. There's a little plastic piece I pulled out of the pin assembly in order to get more fuel just right off the bat. Because we are going to try and run this on the stand once we get everything figured out. But yeah, I looked into all the cylinder walls. I'll go ahead and shed some light in there. And like I was saying, with that last engine that we had, there was still cross-hatching on the cylinder walls. I'm not sure how well this is going to come through on camera. Try and get a nice angle of it here. Yeah, it's going to be hard to tell for you guys, but what I can see is that there is cross-hatching in the cylinder walls, which is good. And I've inspected all of them, and they all look pretty good. So all the pistons look really clean as well. I was told that this only had 120,000 miles, which is pretty low. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. Some cobwebs in there. But yeah, she's in good shape. Unfortunately, with this Harbor Freight engine stand, I wasn't able to get on the motor mount side, which I really do like because it does make it a little bit easier to turn this thing around, but this will work for the time being. We just went into the bell housing or the adapter plate bolt holes and it's up on the stand. So I had to drive all the way to Seattle to get this, but it was definitely worth it. Even in parts, this is a good deal. All right, so yeah, we've kind of just lightly inspected all of the main and rod journals and all that. Obviously, it's still bolted, so we can't tell if we have a bad bearing or anything like that. In the next few weeks, we're going to be, tearing it down, plastic gauging everything and making sure that it's good to go on the bottom end. I don't think it's going to need a rebuild. This would be time for bearings as we have it out and might as well just do that. But yeah, we're going to see if we're within tolerance and spec for our crank and mains. It's still pretty dirty, but if you remember the one that I rebuilt for the white Land Cruiser, this actually is pretty much clean compared. There's always going to be a good amount of like sludge and buildup from all the grease and stuff over time, but this one uses a different lift pump than the P pump, so things to think about. I'll probably get one of those billet tappet covers as well because these are known to leak, and cool points for the billet. Again, here's the rotary end of the pump. I have all those fuel lines. I'll show you all the parts that it came with in just a moment. I do like these VE pumps, especially now that I'm up here in northern Idaho, because I'm not like a mechanic by any means, so I'll undergo any scrutiny you guys want to give me as far as P pumps starting in the cold versus VEs, but I found that the dually Dodge I had for a little while started easier in the cold. It could have been the way it was tuned or whatever, but definitely do like the idea of the VE pump, and it just sounds different. It sounds like more mechanical, and they're cheaper to rebuild. So I wanted a VE pump and I got it, and I'm super stoked. On the front end here, they're saying that the injection pump was bad, and I'm wondering if maybe it slipped off of this tapered end here that is part of the injection pump. This is tapered, and I wonder if that slipped off the gear and just caused it to no longer work. But yeah, obviously there's the cam. All the tappets are still in the engine, and over here is what we got for all the parts. Again, it had been taken down, disassembled, so we've got our push rods, we've got our injectors. Again, those could be tested to see if they're good, but that's the nice thing about these Cummins is that generally everything is good unless something catastrophically goes wrong, and it rarely does. Most people tout this as one of the best, if not the best diesel engine of all time. So again, this is non-intercooled, so this will just be going right to our turbo. We'll want to add an intercooler so that we get more boost and lower EGTs, I believe, or just, you know, it's just a healthier breathing engine with an intercooler. Valve covers, all of our fuel lines, and got our oil filler neck there. Our grid heater, which we may or may not use. We actually might just go with a later model, a second gen intake that goes down towards the intercooler on the driver's side. That's if we might even just leave it non-intercooled for a little while. So this is the H1C turbo. It spools a little bit faster from what I've heard, but again, you're gonna lose power not having an intercooler. All the bolts are here, and crankshaft pulley. We've got our thermostat bracket, our AC bracket, and all that good stuff. There's some motor mounts. We've got our fan, timing cover, of course. And then in here, we've got, you know, an old water pump. We've got our vacuum pump. I'm not sure what these are. I think they're a part of the vacuum pump assembly. The starter, all of the coolant hoses. And then we've got a wiring harness too, which I'll probably just sell because obviously I won't need that. Other little things in there. There's the bracket for the VE pump for the throttle. So all of that's going to come in handy, obviously. So what do you guys think? I'm definitely going to swap this in one of the two Land Cruisers. I actually have the red Land Cruiser up for sale right now just because it's so clean. I want to see if I can get some decent money for it. I think I have it listed at $17,000 right now because it's triple locked. Again, low miles, super clean. If it doesn't sell, probably just swap it into that one, but I do like the idea of swapping it into the 62 just because it would be super cool. But there's gonna be some hurdles we'd have to overcome with that. The issue being that we don't really have a solution for the NV4500 or the Getrag to go into the Toyota transfer case. So I've thought about using an 80 series transfer case in order to use the stock Toyota axles because everything should line up pretty close, but I'm not sure how that would work exactly. I think this time we're gonna go with the Rockbug Industries adapter kit, which replaces the, I don't know what you call it, the input or the input yoke that goes inside of the 80 series transfer case. I don't know if there's a solution for the stock transfer case in the 62 series. So what I also thought about doing was taking an 80 series frame and then mounting the 62 series on it so you get the best of both worlds, and then still making the 62 series into a ute shop because the body's all rusted out and I want to add a flatbed to it. That would be pretty cool. I might do that just regardless of whether or not I come and swap it. And then the other option is we just use the original frame and everything on the red 80 series and come and swap that, which would be super cool. I definitely miss my white come and swap Land Cruiser, and I'm super eager to get this one built and put in there. As far as the amount of horsepower and building the injection pump, I just want a slight amount more of fuel than stock. So I'll be adding an aftermarket fuel pin and maybe some other things. If it needs to be rebuilt, it needs to be rebuilt. But the P pumps are in the 1,500 to 2,000 range, whereas the VE pumps are really only 800 to 1,000 from what I've been quoted. You can go crazy with all sorts of other stuff, delivery valves and all that stuff, but I don't think it really needs it. I think adding the intercooler would be good, but then I'd have to, you know, kind of tinker with the VE pump and get it tuned just perfectly. So let me know what you guys think we should do with it. It's obviously going to go in one of these two Land Cruisers. I'm just deliberating between how I want to do it and which one. So the next videos are going to be us basically just taking this thing down, speccing it, and then looking for an NV4500 and sourcing all the parts for the swap. So if you have any comments, post them down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.